Have you said recently that you feel burnt out, or you just feel like you're burning out, or you feel like you're living in survival mode? If you've said any of those things recently, then we're going to talk about it today. Today, I'm going to be going through 7 signs that you are heading for burnout. And at the end, I'm going to share what you can actually do about it to prevent it. So, the first thing I want to talk about, though, is I think it's important to distinguish between survival mode. Survival mode, you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my air quotes. Survival mode during times of stress, or in the medical world, we call it acute stress. So it's something's happened. Your body is experiencing an injury or an illness that isn't chronic. Chronic meaning long term. So I think it's important to talk about the difference between survival mode and acute stress and chronic stress. The chronic stress is the type of stress that tends to lead to burnout. And that's what I want to talk about today. So one of the biggest influences in my life to help me to not head in this direction was reading a book by John Mark Comer called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I'll link it in the show notes too in case you want to buy it. Fantastic book, short read, easy read. I really love the way he writes because it's easy for me to consume, but it's really impactful. And that book changed how myself and my husband view our life and the things that we say yes to, the things that we say no to, how we manage our time, and really helping us to have this goal of living a life that's unhurried, that is not this constant rat race of I'm trying to catch up, I'm behind. I don't want to live like that. Have you thought about that? Like, have you actually had the thought in your mind that I can have a choice of whether or not I live my life like I'm in the rat race? Because I think our society right now makes us seem like that's just how it is. Life is just a hot mess express and you're on for the ride and that's all you can do. But in reality, you have a choice. You can actually get off of it if you want to. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can get off because I've done it. And so that's the motivation for this episode is I want to give you some things to think about to maybe make your mind go, maybe I'm heading for burnout. Or maybe you're like, none of these apply to me and I feel fantastic. If that's you, great. For a lot of us, the chronic stress can lead to this lifestyle of chronic stress, chronic overwhelm, anxiety, which can lead to you feeling burnt out. And it can be physical. It can literally be physical eventually. So I want you to have the opportunity to turn your ship if you feel like you're heading for the burnout. I was going to say burnout island. I don't know why. If you're on a ship heading to burnout island, you can turn it. All right, so let's talk about this. So the first sign that you're heading for burnout is that your mornings consistently feel like dumpster fires. You wake up and you hit the ground running and it's, okay, what are we going to do? We got to get out the door. Where's the shoes? Where's the clothes? Where's the breakfast? What are we having? What is this mess over here? And you have this like dumpster fire morning. Do you know what I'm talking about? I know what I'm talking about because I've lived that for a long time. And you're barely making it out of the door, barely making it on time to work, constantly a couple minutes late, constantly, during this period of my time, I sped a lot, which is not good, but I did because I was constantly feeling behind. I didn't have enough time, and if I could just drive a little bit faster, I'll get to work faster and I can make up for it. Okay. Is that you? Do you feel that way? That's sign number 1. Your mornings feel like a dumpster fire. Sign number 2, everything feels like too much, and even small tasks feel incredibly overwhelming. What this means to me, in my estimation, is that, and I like to think of everybody having a plate. So When everything feels like too much and little tasks feel overwhelming, it means your plate is really, really full. And even that tiny little task of call the doctor and schedule a doctor appointment feels like it's about to fall off the plate because your plate is so full of stuff. All right. That is a sign that if you continue on this trajectory, you could be heading towards feeling chronically burnt out. And you probably have chronic stress in your life. That's the second sign. And the third sign, you snap at your kids and your husband maybe over little things, and then you feel guilty about it. And you are constantly apologizing or just internalizing that and not apologizing. So you're constantly saying, sorry, mommy's really overwhelmed. Sorry, mommy's really stressed out. Sorry, mommy's, not having a good day. I'm glad you're apologizing to your kids, first of all. I think that's fantastic. But if that's constantly happening, it means that your fuse is probably pretty short. That's a sign that you have a lot of chronic stress in your life. And, I want to handle this gently because I do know there's stress that we can control and there's stress that we can't control. So there are times when the stress in our life is self-inflicted. We have overpacked our schedule. We don't prioritize the right things, and we choose to waste time on things that we shouldn't. That is something that can be cleaned up through strategies, and I'm going to be talking about that. There's other types of chronic stress that we can't do anything about. People in your family, and I say we can't do anything about, meaning you can do everything you can, and then there would still be stress on top of it because of the situation. So, for example, when my mom was going through cancer treatment and me and my sister, she had surgery, and me and my sister were having to alternate going up to the hospital to be with her. And that wasn't something that I could control. Now I could control some things about it. I could mitigate the stress, but the burden of knowing what my mom was going through and dealing with the situation wasn't going to go away. And so, or with, when I recently had, one of my kids is going through something really hard, and it's not something that can just, I go take a bubble bath and decompress and feel fine, because I'm living with it. I'm constantly dealing with it. And so it's a source of chronic stress that I can't control. But there are a lot of things, like I said before, there are a lot of things we can do to mitigate the stress and the damage. And a lot of times chronic stress can be self-inflicted. And if we take away some of those things that are adding to the load, we can handle the stress better within our bodies. All right, so that's the third sign, is you snap at your kids because your fuse is really, really short because you're overwhelmed all the time. That's number 3. Number 4, your health is constantly on the back burner. I was going to say off the back burner, but no, it's on the back burner. And maybe it's shuffled to the front based on motivation, and then shuffled back when things get overwhelming, shuffled in front, shuffled back. You get the picture. You don't have a strategic plan for your health because you feel like you can't commit to it because you constantly feel overwhelmed. And so what happens is you aren't consistent. And lack of consistency, I think, is the biggest thing that stops people from getting results, because you can put in a whole lot of effort for 1 month, but your body is not going to change all that much. And once you stop that effort, it's going to go back. It's about change over long periods of time, which is why my program is lifestyle focused. I focus on the whole woman, the whole mom, and your specific situation, because it has to be livable for you. At the end of the day, I don't do any cookie cutter plans because I don't think that really works unless you're the type of person that can take a cookie cutter plan and maybe adapt it for your life and you know how to do that. Not everybody knows how to do that. And that's what I do, is I help you find a health plan, a fitness plan, a workout plan, an eating plan, and how to create that in a way that works with your life, what you can handle in this moment. Okay. So if that's another sign that you are heading towards burnout, is there's this shuffling action going. Okay. It's not just, I don't really want to work on it right now. It's not fully on the back burner. It's, I know I need to work on it. And then when I get motivation, it moves to the front. And then, oh my gosh, my life is on fire. It moves to the back. That shuffling, I think, is a sign that maybe you're heading towards burnout. Sign number 5. We've got 2 more after this. Sign number 5 that you are heading for burnout is that you struggle to say no. When someone asks something of you, be it the PTA, be it your church organization, volunteer, your kids, you have an automatic reaction to say yes. Yes, I can do that. Because you don't want to disappoint them. That doesn't feel good. And so, as a result, you overpack your schedule. And maybe you feel like you should show up in a certain kind of way. That can be another type of societal pressure is you have to look a certain way, or you have to, I don't know. I have this a little bit, it's kind of a side tangent. I feel a pressure to make all of my holiday food from scratch. And I think that I can do that pretty well, but I think sometimes it's a little much because I have this pressure, like I have to make everything from scratch, right? Like that's the standard. But in reality, no, I don't have to, right? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So you struggle to say no, you overpack your schedule, and you have a pressure to show up in a certain kind of way to fulfill the obligations that you set for yourself by not saying no. Does that make sense? That was a little bit confusing maybe. Basically, you overpack your schedule. That's what I'm trying to say. Because you don't put boundaries on yourself. Sign number 6. You have a tendency to be on your phone or on your tablet scrolling a lot. Your brain craves it because your brain is overwhelmed because you're heading towards burnout. And so you find yourself, if you get a second, feeling the need to decompress, I'm putting that in air quotes, decompress on your phone scrolling. Okay, now is that actually going to help you decompress? No, it won't. But it's this tendency. I know I'm overwhelmed personally when I gravitate towards my phone constantly and want to scroll. I know that means my brain is seeking something that will make it feel better. And because I don't want to deal with the stuff that's going on in my brain, it's looking to distract me from my overwhelm. So that's sign number 6. Sign number 7. You keep telling yourself, I'll take care of me when things calm down. But things don't calm down. Unless you're in something very situation specific, things are probably not going to calm down. So if you've played that on repeat, when the new year comes, I'll really start to focus on it. When the summer comes and the kids are out of school, I'll really focus on it. When the kids are back in school, I'll really focus on it. And then we're back to New Year. Hey, after the holidays, I'll focus on it. If that's you, if you're saying that, that's a sign that you're probably heading towards burnout. Okay? Because you're pushing it off. You're delaying. You're procrastinating. I have too much to deal with it right now. Too much. Means there's too much going on, okay? All right, so I shared these 7 signs with you. And now I want to talk about what you can actually do about it, because this would be a depressing episode if it was just, hey, look, you're burnt out and you're on the train, or now I'm on trains. You're on the ship to Burnout Island, okay? That would be really depressing. So what can we actually do about this? What I do is I do this thing called core needs prioritization, and this is what I teach my students. You sit down and you figure out what are the things that you actually need to do to be successful in the role that you're in as a wife or as a mom or as a grandma, whatever the role that you are in. What do you actually, what's the minimum? What's the essentials? What are those things? I call them core needs. Write them down. Write down what those things are. And the things that don't go on the list are volunteer activities or kids' sports or kids' music. Those are not absolute necessities. Okay? You can fight me on that. I'm never going to say that kids' sports is a necessity. So Write them down, okay? Schedule those things into your week and only those things. Say no to anything else for a while, just a while. Just spend a few weeks being, allowing there to be some time. One of my favorite things that we've gotten to enjoy since really incorporating these things into our life and our family from reading The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, it inspired me to just say no to a lot of stuff and not overfill my schedule and my kids' schedules. And so one of my favorite things that we do is when the kids get home from school, if the weather's nice out, sometimes it's not, but if the weather's nice out, 9 days out of 10, my kids are outside in the cul-de-sac and we're playing outside. They are running around, they're playing basketball, they're playing with the neighbor kids. Our kids being able to decompress outside after school has been so helpful for them and also for us to just have time as a family where there's not pressure to get somewhere. It's so nice, and I want that for you. And what I've realized is I can be satisfied with the things that I have, even if I don't have everything. I can be okay with it because the things that really matter to me are my relationship with the Lord and my relationship with my kids. It matters more than success in business or my kids being great at whatever it is, the sport or a musical instrument or whatever. Those relationships are more important to me. And I'm not saying that you're not a good mom if you put your kids in stuff. That can be fine, but we can't do it to the detriment of our own health, is what I'm saying. Because if you're heading towards burnout, then your kid doesn't want to do piano lessons or baseball 4 nights a week if they're getting a burnt out mom as a result. Does that make sense? I don't actually think they want that. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down your core needs and these minimum things. I'll give you an example of what mine are. Time with the Lord, time with my kids, time with my husband, meal planning, shopping, and some other things. Sleep is one of those things that I really prioritize. And I sit down every Saturday with my husband and we plug those things in for us. Those are the things that we have to do. And if we don't have time for the other stuff, that's okay. I want you to write it down. I want you to share it with somebody. Accountability helps us to create habits. If you're heading towards burnout, then you need to talk to somebody and just say, hey, I feel like I overcommit to things, or I feel constantly overwhelmed and I'm trying to clean up the stuff in my schedule so that I can have time to focus on me. Be really vulnerable and honest. And if you need help with this, if you actually want someone to walk through it with you, you can reach out to me. I've got a link in the show notes. You can book a free 15-minute discovery call and you can see if my program would be helpful for you. I can help you with a lot of these things. No, I can't solve your entire life, but I can help you create your core needs and get those prioritized. I can keep you accountable on that. I can help you create a amazing meal plan rotation so that meal planning takes less time. I can help you to make sure that you have the things prioritized every week that you say you want to do. The accountability really helps to create habits, and that is really what you want. You want long-term consistency in things because that's what's going to move the needle forward. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm going to wrap it up. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at rachel@effectivefitnessforwomen.com, and you can shoot me an email and just tell me what you thought. Or you can leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. That would also be appreciated. I'll talk to you next time on the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast.